Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. How's everybody doing today? This is our second episode. Yeah, double Lovity Day. We call it double Lovity around here when we have more than one episode of JMS Live. So good to see all of you. I can't believe we have done over 500 episodes of our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series, live 7 days a week since we launched it back in May of 2020. You guys know I work in television, radio, stage, and film, and this has been an extension of that crazy world of TV and radio and more. And we've loved every second of this. So many guests have come in from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, culinary arts, sports, comedy, as well as science and nature, health and wellness, inspiration, and everything in between. And our viewers, who are called the Lovities, they watch from all around the world, right here in the United States. Matter of fact, this show comes from the New York area in the northeastern United States. For those watching around the world, in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. That's where Lovity Hall is. That's what you guys call this. Lovity Hall, you said I'm Mr. Lovity, and that this is, you are the Lovity Squad, and this is the Lovity Show. And I love that because in the summertime, I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity last summer. And I said the word Lovity, and then you guys hopped on it and said, hey, that's what it's all about, conversational, freestyle, sort of old school, like Johnny Carson, Dick Cavett, some of the traditional talk show hosts and great presenters and funny folk. And that's what we do here. We have poignant conversations. We have great guests from celebrity friends, people I've interviewed on television, radio, to folks from all walks of life, viewers who are interactive and very passionate. They comment live during the show, which I think is awesome. And celebrated guests that come in, and we have a little of something for everybody. We don't do the same kind of show every night. It has its format, but we also celebrate life in so many different ways. And I think it's really, really cool. So great to have all of you here. We've got an amazing guest coming up. Author Kelly Conway is here live and direct from Malibu, California. And the power company is set to turn their power off this evening. So we and she, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that they don't do it yet. California Light and Power, keep the lights on until she is wrapped with our conversation and her special guest appearance. That's a lot of levity when things like that happen, right? She's amazing. Of course, she's the daughter of comedy legend extraordinaire, one of my favorite people, not just in television, but just overall. Tim Conway, of course, from McHale's Navy, and then many, many years on the Carol Burnett show, his own show as well, too. I've been seeing clips, I think, on Tubi or YouTube, the Tim Conway show. He had his show, which was very funny as well. Really funny episode with Joan Crawford as a guest. I mean, and of course, so many other things. Dorf. I mean, just a classic, an American treasure, an incredible icon, and somebody that she had the opportunity to call Dad. So we're going to be talking about that as she joins us in just a second. Again, live and direct from Malibu, California, and from her beautiful home. We are so excited to have her here. We're going to talk about lots of cool things. We were having just an amazing conversation just moments ago. We chat with the guests prior to going on to make sure the audio and the video is good, but also just to connect and to wrap a little bit before we go live. We had a lot of laughs. Hey gang, wait to see the chair she's sitting in. I know you guys love these chairs that these guests sit in. Wait till you see this cool, funky chair she's in. It fits. She's in like a corner, and this big, like Queens-like chair fits perfectly in the corner. It's like a cream color. It's like one of the great chairs of the Jim Masters Show live. Wait till you see it. First, let's check in with our viewers who are watching faithfully all around the world right now. And we say thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. Before that, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we have archived over 500 episodes of our series with guests from all walks of life. Recently, Donnie Most from Happy Days was here. Marion Ross was here. Anson Williams, Kathy Garver from Family Affair. If you like the television crowd, Allison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie was here. so many others, Patrick McEnroe, and even a slight appearance from John McEnroe. They were here. It's just incredible the amount of guests that we've had, and we love them all. And it's just been terrific. Sherry Larson is watching in Kansas, USA, and she says, Happy Friday, everyone. This is the second show for many of you. We had composer, lyricist, songwriter extraordinaire Michael Mott live from New York City on this afternoon. So this is our second show. Good to see everybody here. Mary Bishop's watching in Florida. She says, Hi, Jim and Lovely friends. Good to see you, Mary. Welcome to the show. Merlin is watching in Ontario, Canada, as always. Good Friday evening, Jim and all Lovities. Good to see you as well, Merlin. Always great when you are here. More. We have so many comments coming in. We love this. There's just a barrel of comments here in our comments section. Don't forget to give this episode a like on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and also a thumbs up, like, and leave a comment for us as well. That helps us big time grow this series even more around the world. Good evening, Mr. Lovety, and good evening, Lovities, from Linda Odell in Florida. Toby in California. Howdy, everyone. Happy Friday. I wonder if it's as warm for you in Encino, California, where it is for our guest, Kelly Conway, over towards Malibu, where she says, even with that ocean-type breeze, it feels like 100 degrees there today. I would imagine it's probably even hotter where you are in the valley there, Toby, and Encino. Jane's watching in Sweden, as always. Hi, everyone, and Jim. Good to see you, Jane, as well. Nice to see everybody here. Everybody chiming in. We love this. Kathleen Walker is here as well. She welcomes Kelly to our Lovety family. I told Kelly all about the Lovety situation. She says, I love that. I'm all about Lovety. So she's chimed in. And you guys are already talking about some of the characters you remember on Lyle Wagner. Of course, Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, so many guest stars came through as well. But of course, Tim was known for much more. He had a wonderful career in Cleveland, too. Talk about his buddy Ernie Anderson, who was the voice of ABC, one of my favorite announcers. Ann Wozniak, happy Friday, everyone. Ann is watching in Florida. And everybody else. Lisa Rodrigo is here. Kathleen Walker is watching from New York City. We see that as well. And everybody. Good to see everybody. Keep those comments coming. We welcome you. It's 84 degrees and breezy where you are. Wow, it's cooler inland than by the ocean. How did that happen? Welcome, Kelly, from Jane as well. And Christine Clifton is chiming in from North Carolina here on the Jim Masters Show Live. And she goes, good evening, Jim and Lovety friends. Welcome, Kelly, to Lovety Hall tonight. Absolutely. So why don't we do that? I want to let you know that she has penned this spectacular book that is going to be out soon. Not out yet. So what you're hearing and experiencing tonight is actually a preview exclusive when you really think about it, because she doesn't even have her copy yet. And she wrote it. It's coming out in December. Of course, comic and television star Tim Conway from McHale's Navy, The Carol Burnett Show, The Apple Dumpling Gang, and so much more enjoyed enormous popular appeal, including a wide readership for his best-selling memoir, What's So Funny? In her own humorous, loving, and surprising memoir, Tim's eldest child, Kelly, reveals that the Conway home, of course, was riotous and engaging as some of her father's best-known comedy sketches were acted out. Kelly Conway allows readers an intimate look at the supremely American childhood from the studios of Television City in Los Angeles. Oh, I used to love when they used to say that. From Television City in Hollywood, which of course was the CBS television studios. From there to the Midwest pleasures of her mom and dad's hometowns. Of course, he coming from the Cleveland, Ohio area. The book is titled My Dad's Funnier Than Your Dad. It's her love letter to her father and mother, as well as an account of the warm, laugh-filled world in which she spent her childhood. The book portrays a cheaper by the dozen style upbringing when she and her 5 younger brothers spent their lives playing together within a protective cocoon of affection and love. Her dad acted as the ringmaster of their circus. And what kind of dad builds his kids a go-kart track in the backyard of his Encino residence by himself, not hiring a crew of professionals to do it? How about a dad that circles the block when his kids go away for the first day of school, grade school, fretting and fussing that they're okay away from home. What can you say about a famous father who lived not for his celebrity, but for the opportunity to keep himself firmly grounded in family? While not all puppy dogs and rainbows, the Conways divorced when the author was 17. This is nevertheless a warm-hearted memoir of a man who was as funny off the set as on. Tim Conway is somebody that I wish I had had an opportunity to meet. I did have the pleasure of meeting, as you guys know, Carol Burnett and chatting with Carol Burnett, and she's wonderful. But Tim, I mean, there's the famous dentist scene. If you have not seen this, if you were too young when this was actually on CBS, look on YouTube and elsewhere. There's DVDs. It's one of the funniest things ever on television, and really, really amazing. And of course, McHale's Navy. You remember that series? I mean, look at the expressions. He really, and then of course Ernest Borgnine and the entire group with McHale's Navy and so much more. Just really pure love and laughter. Quintessential Tim. There's something on YouTube where he's talking about the elephant. And it was sort of like off camera, one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. And he just breaks up the entire cast. Vicki Lawrence, Carol Burnett, Dick Van Dyke is sitting on the edge of the couch. Just incredible. Why don't we welcome his beloved daughter, live and direct from Malibu, California. Kelly Conway joins us, and we're so excited and happy to have her here. She's got wonderful stories to share with us about her incredible dad. Again, we call him an icon, a comedian's comedian, but she called him Dad. Kelly, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. I love all those pictures. That was great. Thank you.
Oh, we have more too. First, what a chair you're sitting in. Gang, look at the chair.
Thank
Isn't that
you.
incredible? Look at that chair.
You can see the chair.
Now that's a chair.
It's pretty comfortable too.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned that sometimes we end up seeing the guests' chairs, and it's funny because the guest goes and they got to get the Oscar, the Grammy, whatever, and show it to us. And Merlin
I
says,
have no
hilarious.
awards to go get, so I can go use the restroom if you want.
Just to see the chair, right?
Yeah.
That is funny. How are you doing? Yeah, obviously we've been in crazy times. I can only imagine what your dad would have summed up with the crazy times we are in. How are you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing okay, hanging in there. It's been weird for everybody, but it's getting back to normal out here a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gave me an opportunity though. We wrote, Caroline St. Clair, who wrote the book with me, because I'm not a writer. I can tell a good story, but I'm not a writer at all. We took the whole lockdown quarantine thing. I mean, we just by accident, we started writing in February 2020, end of February, beginning of March. And so it was a whole year of, probably wouldn't have been doing very much. But we got to write. We wrote 3 or 4 days a week, and so it worked out. So I'm happy for it.
Great. I want to show you some of that lovely wave that happens as the viewers watch from all around the world. Lisa Rodrigo says, welcome and congrats on your book, Kelly. I look forward to getting it and reading it. That's Lisa. And Sherry, who's watching in Kansas, says, welcome, Kelly. And Christine Clifton says, Kelly, welcome to JMS Live tonight. Excited you could join us. Congrats on your book. You are now a Lovity. Isn't that kind of cool? There are all kinds of awards.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's Oscars, Tellys, Peabodys, Grammys, Tonys, all of it. But when you're a Lovity on the Jim Masters Show Live, it's kind of cool, huh?
I'm happy.
Your feet tingling? That's usually what guests say happens. Their feet start tingling.
Not quite yet. Give me a minute.
It's not neuropathy. It's being a Lovity.
Yeah. They're on fire, actually. It's so hot here. They're on fire.
Now, Toby in Encino says 84 degrees and windy, but it feels like 100 where you are, huh?
It once in a while, like if just a few days a year, it switches to where I was born and raised in Encino. So I know the valley well. And yeah, it is hot out there. And sometimes there's a 30-degree difference between the valley and here at the beach.
Yeah,
We're much colder, but
yeah,
sometimes it switches it up. And this is the dangerous part where it gets
yeah.
windy and fire season.
Fires.
And so now I think we're probably hotter here than in the valley today, just for today and tomorrow. And then it's going to kind of die down.
Uh, Linda Odell in Florida loves your chair. I knew
Thank
it.
you.
Toby loves the chair as well.
Thanks.
That is funny. Oh, I like that. Maureen in Arizona says that's not a chair, that's a throne.
I
That is
like that.
that's cool, isn't it? Maureen
Yeah,
says
thanks.
hello and happy Friday. Maureen's all excited. She's a nurse, been one for years in Arizona, getting ready to retire in December.
Okay, good.
Uh, Hello and happy Friday. She didn't want to miss this episode. Merlin says hilarious, and Mary Bishop says welcome, Kelly, and so much more. You
So
tell
everyone's so nice.
They are, yeah. We've created a really nice community here on the show, and I love all the interactivity. Congratulations on your book, which is really, really nice. So, tell us a little bit about some of those inspirations for writing the book, and what was it? We don't want to give too much away, of course, so people can get the book. But what was it like growing up, in the Conway home with having such a funny dad right there, doing his thing in front of all of you?
Every day, even when I wanted to talk to him about something serious, he was planning a circus in the living room. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that
Um,
guy. Yeah, that
I
guy.
don't know. Like I said, I'm not a writer. Oh, I love that picture.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I'm not a writer, but I have so many stories, and I was approached by a few people to ask if I wanted to write a book, and I hadn't thought about it. And then it got more questions, and finally, Roger, my publicist, said, hooked me up with an agent in New York, and we wrote a treatment, and I wrote it with Caroline St. Clair, who was an amazing writer. So between her beautiful writing and my stories, we did this book, and it was such a therapeutic way to get all this out, not out, but to share it with everybody, because it was so fun growing up. And I think people will, I hope they enjoy it. There's some stories, and there's a lot of pictures. We have thousands of pictures, and I picked the best 100 pictures from the thousands I have. So
That had to be hard to do that too, right? Going through and trying to figure, you know, what to use, and was it easy to write? Was it, sometimes writing can be a cathartic experience, as you're celebrating one's life. And
yeah,
there's the gang from the Carol Burnett show, of course, Carol, Harvey,
that's
Vicky,
so
and
great.
your dad. Perfect, perfect cast. Perfect. I mean, I couldn't have thought of a cast so perfect. They just played off each other so incredibly. And some of those funny moments, the old man, and those hilarious moments with Wiggins, and but you could just tell the love and affection that they had for one another, everybody on that set at CBS Television City, with your dad, because your dad would come on, but then eventually Carol and the gang made him a regular on the Carol Burnett show, right? And that really
Hmm.
changed everything. And those are some of my favorite episodes, as I was telling you before we went live, is when your dad was on, in all the different characters and scenarios, and how he just sort of, in his sly and sort of quick-witted way, was able to break
Sneaky.
the set up. Yeah, that's talent. That is really, really crafted talent.
Yeah,
That
I mean, a lot of people don't know that my dad wasn't a regular because he was on so often.
Right.
Because she loved him, and loved having him on. So he was on. every few weeks, even when he wasn't a regular. And so people thought he was a regular for a long time, but it didn't happen
It
a
felt
few years
like
in.
that, right? If you're a few years in, exactly. But even going back before then, your father, growing up in the Cleveland area of Ohio, didn't he work for Channel 5 in Cleveland, the TV station? And he met Ernie Anderson.
Mhm.
And tell us about the early years for Tim Conway growing up in the Midwest.
He started in radio. That's how he knew Ernie Anderson, who was his best friend. Um, Started in radio and kind of progressed into TV a little bit, little shows here and there. And Rosemary, who was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, saw them, was in Cleveland for something and saw them and asked if they wanted to come out to LA because she had told Steve Allen about them and how funny she thought they were. So they packed up and they drove out. My mom and dad drove in a car, and Ernie and his wife, Edwina, a couple weeks later, drove out, and they all moved to California. My dad kind of said, "I'm not going without him." So um, Ernie came out with him, and Ernie's career was unbelievable.
Oh
Also,
boy, yes. He
um,
was, for people who don't remember, they might not know the name, but he
yeah,
was the voice of the ABC television network and commercials and so much more. And he had that really deep, resonant voice of God. One of my favorite, working in television myself and radio, one of my favorite on-air announcers was Ernie Anderson. And your dad, Tim Conway, they were friends, and they did, wasn't there character that quirky, funny character in Cleveland on Channel 5 that Ernie did, and your father was a part of that show as well? I forget the name of the character. It starts with a G, but it was a very funny character that Ernie did. And
Gilardi.
yes, Goulardi. Yes.
That was Ernie's. Ernie was had a show. I think might have even been pre my dad, called The Great Gilardi, and that's where a lot of people that have spent time in Ohio, grew up around Cleveland or whatever, they would know him from that. A lot of people know him from that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's how they met or where they met. And I don't think, my dad didn't plan on being in television. It was kind of a job. It was either that or the hardware store, and
Yeah.
he chose that. And
Yeah.
then kind of it went well.
It went very, very well because he was so good at it and so open and authentic and
Yeah.
honest comedy. It wasn't. There was a slapstick nature to it, but there was a wit to it at the same time, which is
Yeah.
not always easy to master both. And so, when writing this book for you, I would imagine was a cathartic experience because, of course,
Sure was.
your dad is not here anymore, and you're paying homage to him and his life, and being his
Mhm.
daughter and his wonderful experiences, and the actual writing process. I'm sure sometimes it can get quite emotional too, huh?
It did. And
Yeah,
at the time when we started writing, my dad he hadn't even been gone, not even for a year. So it was still very new and fresh. And yeah, he was my best pal. So I missed him terribly. I missed him every minute of every day. Um, but the stories we had, and I have five younger brothers. I'm the eldest of six. The stories we had from growing up
yeah.
were like, there's so many, and I had to narrow those down too because there's hundreds.
What would be one maybe that you can share to give people an idea, a sense of what the whole experience for you and for your brothers and the family was like?
Well, he nothing nothing was ever just let's go out to the back and go swimming. It was okay, get your suits on. I built a trophy. He would make a trophy out of like an old vase and put tinfoil on it and glue it onto a piece of wood. And he goes, we're gonna have a swim meet, invite all the kids. So we'd go around on our bikes and invite all the kids over, and he'd have t-shirts and prizes and lanes, and he was the coach with a hat and a whistle, and he'd have a swim meet for the whole neighborhood. And it was it it was always like that. And it was nothing, it wasn't just let's sit around and watch TV tonight. It was, okay, The Wizard of Oz, at the time where The Wizard of Oz was on only once a year, right? It was a
Right.
big deal for it to be on because everybody wanted to see it that one time. So he would turn the living room into a theater. He'd line up the couches and chairs and have popcorn, make popcorn outside, and again, invite all the kids over. And he would sell tickets and, paint color in the bags to be red and white popcorn bags and turn it into a theater. And it was a blast. It was always, people go, how do you remember all this stuff from childhood? They say, I barely remember it. I said, because everything was such an event. It wasn't just a Saturday night watching a movie. It was a theater, so.
Did you get a chance to go to Television City and see him do his thing?
I did. We were all, my mom used to go around and take us out of school on Thursdays. They taped on Fridays, so that was, we weren't allowed to go on Fridays, which I figured out during writing this book, that they always said it was for insurance. Oh, it's because of insurance reasons that you guys can't come on Fridays. We're like, okay, we were kids. We're like, we don't even know what that means. But in writing this, I'm going,
Yeah.
they just didn't want us around on Fridays because they had fun and it was adults only. So they would bring Harvey's kids and Carol's kids and some of the directors or writers and director all the kids would come on Thursdays, and it was so fun because that's where we all played, for a few hours to see our dads or mom, whoever it happened to be. And, you got to sneak across the hall to the Cher Show. Sonny and Cher Show was across the hall.
That's right.
At CBS, and Three's Company was next door to Sonny and Cher. So I would be, we'd get there and go, I'm going to the bathroom, Mom, I'll be right back. And I'd run over to watch Cher. I would hide under, at the time they had bleachers, kind of collapsible bleachers. So I would go sneak over and I would just stare at her from under these bleachers going, I love you. I want to be you. I want everything you have. I was probably 12 years old at the time, or 14.
Did Cher ever know that? Did you ever get a chance to relay
yeah,
that?
I actually got to tell her. A friend of mine is close to her, and I told her, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, don't tell me, that ages me so much. I'm like, okay, I wasn't 12, I was 28.
28, and I still want to be you, right?
Yeah, I still do want to be you. God, I really did. And then, next door, John Ritter was hanging out, and Suzanne Summers, who was a good friend of my dad's, and John Ritter was too. And they all kind of stayed friends. It was such a fun, happy CBS family. And it sounds cliche and silly, but it truly was. And we were so lucky to, like I said, my mom would round us up and we'd go on Thursdays and hang out with them. And then Friday was the grown-up day. So
so cool, huh? It was like being in Candyland in so many different ways.
Totally.
Did it
How could I
turn
not remember those?
Right, exactly. Did it spark an interest for you or the rest of the family to want to go in and follow your dad's footsteps in any way, seeing what was going on and being right there in the heart of it all?
Yeah, I was too. I think I was too shy. I didn't want to be an actress. I mean, it looked really fun, but once you start doing it and you're in a play or something here and there, that my dad would go, hey, why don't you do this? Acting is, people think I could do that. You can't.
Not as easy as you think, right?
It's hard, and it's grueling sometimes, and they make it look easy and fun because they're so good. And I was too shy and nervous, and it's hard. But I did love the costumes. I loved, because that's all I knew. And it depends how you're raised. If your dad was a mechanic or an engineer, that's where you go to work with them, and that's what you learn. And that's what I learned. I learned about costume and wardrobe. And Bob Mackie was an amazing designer, still is.
Yeah.
And I, when I was done at the Sonny and Cher Show, I'd slide over to the wardrobe room and look at all they did almost a Broadway musical every week.
It's incredible, right? It's incredible.
And so
True variety
he did Sonny
show.
and Cher. He did the Sonny and Cher show, Carol Burnett show, and might have done Three's Company. But the costumes, but so it was a candy store. Like it was amazing. So I learned and I observed and I watched, and then that's what I did. And I'm a costume designer and wardrobe stylist. They call wardrobe stylist in commercials.
Yeah.
So I'm a stylist and designer.
That is fantastic. So do you think
Yeah.
some of seeing what you saw early on as a kid sort of influenced that as well? Seeing all the
Oh,
costumes and the
totally.
designs, and
Totally.
did you get a
I mean,
chance to chat with Bob Mackey over the
all the
years too?
time.
Yeah.
Christmas parties, birthdays.
So did he make you one of those curtain rod gowns too, or
He didn't, but I figured out how to do it by
did you
watching them.
really?
Well, I mean, it's so funny because my dad was resourceful. That was his biggest gift, and he definitely passed that on to all of my brothers. I have 5 brothers, all of them, and myself. To where we're shooting out in the middle of the desert, and the director will say, "Oh, hey, I forgot. Did I tell you about that charm bracelet I wanted
Yeah.
in 5 minutes?" You're like, "What?
Right.
Give me a minute," and
And
you go
we will
run and find
create
stuff
one.
and put it together, and it's just looking at stuff and putting it together in a different way, and and looking at Bob Mackey and all of his the designers, the designer and the costumers in the room, and the hair and makeup and the wigs and the prosthetics, and it was the biggest gift of life. And like I said, my dad was a mechanic, I would know that, but I know this because it's familiar, and that's all I knew. I mean, that
See?
and
Yeah.
gymnastics or cheerleading, but there's
Right,
not
right.
a long career in cheerleading or
And
gymnastics. But
the physicality of all that. Uh, Were there, and of course, then your father, even prior to that, McHale's Navy. Sometimes everybody always thinks of Carol Burnett show first because of the longevity and in color and reruns so many times with McHale's Navy. When
yeah,
you see some of those episodes with McHale's Navy, hilarious in that as well. I mean, a tremendous supporting actor and a tremendous character actor. You could throw anything at your dad, and he could take it, even if it's just empty air or empty paper bag filled with air, and he could just turn it into something. Isn't that a great shot? He could just
so
turn
funny.
it into something hilarious. He was,
Yeah.
you
That's what I
know,
mean. The resourcefulness, like looking at things differently.
does
Um,
that come from now? Were his parents funny? I mean, is there humor within the family that you think was passed down to
oh yeah,
him?
for sure. But my grandparents, my dad was an only child. So of course he got all the attention, and then we got all the attention from our grandparents because we were the only grandchildren. But his parents were funny, but they didn't know it. I mean, my grandmother was Romanian, and right off the boat, Romania, when she was 18 years old, landed on Ellis Island, and my grandfather was from Ireland, and he's same thing, just took a ship to New York, and they met in Cleveland, and um, stayed there. They were funny, but they didn't know it.
That
When my dad tells stories about them, oh my god, you definitely know where my dad gets it from.
Well, see, when you watch his comedy, it's exactly like that. He's funny, and we're all laughing when we watch it, but it's as if he's not aware of the fact, and of course he is because he was a master at it,
Brilliant
really,
mind.
really strategic and really good at timing and pausing, pregnant pauses and everything else. But it would appear to everybody that he wasn't aware of the fact that it was so
Yeah,
funny to be able
true.
to, some people deliver things in a very deliberate way. They're like, look at me, I'm funny. Aren't I funny? He would just deliver it, and wherever it landed is where it landed, which usually was always
Exactly.
a golden moment. I mean, just look at somebody like a straight man like Harvey Korman, who was classically trained and always sort of thought of it
Yeah.
in a certain way. And I even think that if you look at the progression of the Carol Burnett show, when Tim was on regularly, um, even Harvey Korman, his delivery changed a little bit. I think just in watching the episodes, he was he was always funny, but just something happened when he and your dad were together that was something you couldn't even script, and you
It's
saw
pretty magical.
elements of Harvey that you might not have even seen before because your dad Tim brought it out of Harvey, which I thought
Yeah,
was
like you said, he
magic.
was so studied and so, uh, you know, theatric, from the theater, and everything was so on cue, and no ad libbing and no surprises. So that was the best part about it is it, like you said, nobody knew what he was going to do, but he did it. And my dad, people ask me so often, what was your dad's favorite joke or his favorite line? I go, I don't think he isn't a joke teller. He could tell
Right.
stories, um, but not joke like you said. Like a comedian would go up on stage and do a 45-minute set. That my dad was his his specialty was to have people around him to play off of, um, and props and things and stuff that didn't work or blew up on him. So he didn't love stand up for that reason,
Yeah.
which is why Johnny Carson loved my dad, and
Yes. Yes. Similar
he
senses of humor too. Yeah.
very, very. That's
Yes.
so true. Like
Yeah.
you can see it in their eyes. What but
Yeah.
they don't have to say anything, and you look at them like,
Yeah.
look at that.
It's in the eyes.
But
Yeah.
Carson wouldn't. Traditionally, most people would stand in front of the curtain and do a couple minute set, which is a long time, a 3 or 4 minute set, and then go sit on the couch with Carson. But my dad didn't love doing that, so he let my dad do sketches. I think he started with the Dwarf. He did a couple of those and some simple sketches that needed a few props with Carson here and there. But he didn't want to go out and just speak in a microphone in front of a curtain. So that was pretty special because I don't think anybody else did that. I don't remember it
No.
if they did.
No. There he is with two other legends, Carl Reiner and Betty White.
Gosh.
That's hot in Cleveland. There's no way he couldn't be on that show coming from Cleveland.
Yeah, no
There's a
kidding, right?
lot of television and comic history right in there in that picture, huh? That photo. Phew.
My dad's eyes are so sparkly. Like
Yes.
I was saying that I'm so lucky that, through YouTube and anywhere you punch in his name and I get to watch him all day if I want and
Yeah.
never see anything twice.
Yes. So the book itself, My Dad's Funnier Than Your Dad, that is a great shot of you guys.
Yeah.
There's something in his smile that's I caught right away in that expression. He looks so like at peace, happy,
Oh,
content, doesn't he? Like he's working his tail off, in his career, but he looks so content in that shot.
yeah. I agree. I love that. I love that picture.
Yeah,
It's up on my wall, and I should put it up there actually, right?
yeah, above the
Um,
throne.
put it above the throne. I'm gonna do that. I'll send you a picture.
The Tim and Kelly
Um,
Conway Shrine. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that picture. I've always loved it, and people have seen it because I do have it up in my house, and I love it. And he does look happy, and that's pretty much how he was. He was fun, and my mom had a different theory about raising kids, about getting good grades rather than being fun. So they clashed
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. He was, let's have a good time and fun. And she was more lay down the line a little bit, the law a little bit.
Right.
Maureen says, which is so true, Tim's facial expressions were priceless and added such humor to his shtick. Sometimes he didn't even need to speak. Kelly and I were talking about that before we went live in there. He didn't even have to say a word, kind of like Johnny Carson, not even say a word. And we all died laughing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
It's that twinkle in his eye, that almost smile, but I don't know. I'm lucky. I got to have it a lot. That's what I mean. That those sparkly eyes.
yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So, It is kind of tough to look at all of his work and decide. I mean, are there a few characters or scenarios that are some of your personal favorite with your dad, whether it was the Carol Burnett show or anything else that he did? Because he did do, and I've seen, I think on Tubi, I think they have it, and maybe there's clips on YouTube. There
Yeah.
was, he might not be as well known for it because of the experience of Carol Burnett's show and McHale's Navy and everything else, but and Dorf, of course, and all the other things that he did. But uh, the Tim Conway show, he had his own sort of variety show as well, which I've seen clips of, and he
Yeah,
was really working hard on that show, and it was a lot of fun
he
with the
sure
guest
did.
stars and the whole
It was like
bit.
a Carol Burnett show format. It was a variety show format, and same with him. With Carol Burnett show had 20 something, 30 dancers
Yeah.
every week. My dad had dancers, but they were little kid dancers. They were
Right.
10 or 12 years old, and
He
they
would
did
make
a musical
fun
number.
of like the whole show is almost like sort of poking fun at we take ourselves too seriously, and especially
Totally.
with the show. So you'd expect like these dancers but they were kids, and
Yeah.
right, very witty.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a fun show, and we got to visit that more often because there were so many kids around. It wasn't such a grown-up night. So
Absolutely, yes. Like Kathleen says, no one else like him, a
thank
comedy
you.
genius. Absolutely. So the book I mentioned, it's like a heartwarming homage and sharing love of your dad and opening up and sharing all of that with all of us, which I think is a beautiful thing. Um, for folks who haven't read the book, what would you say? How would you describe it for folks that haven't read it?
It's and I didn't put it together really until when we started writing. I realized that there are so many lessons in the stuff that he was doing. Like I told you about the theater, like it wouldn't just be, hey, the Wizard of Oz is on, get your pajamas on and we'll watch it. It was, he built a theater in the living room, he put foil on the windows, he sold tickets and put popcorn in red and white colored bags that he crayoned on. And one of those times I got up to go to the bathroom, and he had a turnstile. He had a old broom handle, and he had a turnstile, so we'd have to give a ticket and then he would let you in. And I got up to go to the bathroom, and I came back, and my dad's sitting at the turnstile, and I go in, and he puts the thing down, and he goes, "Where's your ticket?" And I go, "I don't know. I just went to the bathroom. It's probably on my seat somewhere." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to need your ticket to get in." I go, "Dad, it's me. I just went to the bathroom. It's Kelly." He goes, "Doesn't matter." He goes, "Where do you think it is? Go look in the bathroom." And finally he went, "Okay, I'll let you in this time, but you got to remember your ticket." He goes, "How do you know someone's not going to ask you for it? And you have to prove who you are, who you're not, and more importantly, who you are not." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, great." And I take it was on my chair, but these little things he taught us. I never forgot my ticket again. Um, is to kind of prepare us to just be responsible and take things with you, even though we're in our house. Be responsible. Don't be dopey.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just be responsible. And what was it like, his schedule? Because they had a tight schedule with Carol Burnett's show. Was he able to be home? Sometimes people in these industries, they're not able to be home with the family as much as they would like to be. Was he able to be home quite a bit with all of you?
He was he When he was on the Carol Burnett show, which was it was a lot of years, but Mondays we'd all be in school every day, of course, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, kind of a half day, weren't that busy because they would kind of you know few hours Monday, Tuesday, blocking and rehearsing and table reads, and Wednesday was a bit longer. Thursday was their dress rehearsal, so he was there all day Thursday and for sure Friday, because that's when they taped everything. And then all day Saturday, Sunday, he was home. He wasn't going to parties and playing golf with the guys. He was home with us, planning the next adventure, which was either a swim meet or let's paint the guest house. And give each of us a bucket of paint and white overalls, and he would shoot it with his 8 millimeter, Super 8 camera. And we have all those home movies too. They're priceless. I was telling you that there's so many pictures. There's over 100 pictures in the book to look at, which I'm so thankful that they let me do that, because I look at books and there's sometimes 10 or 20 photos in it, and there's over 100 pictures, so it's pretty fun. It's fun to read. It's some sweet stories and lots of pictures, and then some stuff that happened at the end which wasn't so fun, but stuff happens, and I'm proud of how I fought for him to go peacefully at the end.
Yeah. And that's, a loving commentary as well. Being there, he was there for you,
Oh
and
my gosh.
you being there for him, right?
Till the very end, of course, always.
What would be something that maybe we don't know about your dad that, we know the public persona, we know the wit and wisdom and the humor and always making everybody else laugh, making everybody else feel good. What would be something maybe about your dad that we didn't know about the incredible Tim Conway?
Well, I don't know, when we were talking about when you hear some things about other comedians or actors or actresses and being totally different at work, and then coming home and being a different person, and what you see isn't necessarily what you get. He was exactly like that at home, and fun, and
As soon as you see these photos, you giggle, and I love that.
it's so good. That one with the puppet, with the Hitler puppet. Not funny, but
But
it is.
just the way he did it was.
It's so the way he did it is so funny, and it was a puppet that he built at home. Watching him build it to surprise everybody. So
He built
well,
that
that
at
can be.
home? He built
Pardon?
that he built that at home?
Uh-huh.
Wow. I would have thought it was something, that the studio had supplied, but he did it?
He built
Wow.
a lot of stuff at home. We made all the dwarf stuff at home, and I got to build that with him. So that's part of the creative too. That he has a little workshop out in the garage, and we built so many things out there that he would take to work and use. So we were in on it, and I would say, if I had to, he was so capable of building anything. Like, he built the bar, actually the whole playroom or game room and bar in his home. He had a workshop outside, and art, and painting, and he kind of did everything. He could do everything.
That really is.
And he did do it. There's a story in the book about when I was in probably about grade 4 or 5. I came home and I told him I had to do a book report on. I got Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They drew out of a hat, and I got Franklin D. Roosevelt, and that was my book report. He's like, "Oh, great." He goes, "We got to get you a suit, got to get you a pipe, some glasses, put it together." And the next day he came home from work with a wheelchair. And I'm going, "What's going on? Who's hurt?" He goes, "Well, Franklin D. Roosevelt was in a wheelchair." He goes, "Yeah, you need this for school." So I got wheeled to school by him the next morning for the book report, or for the report, in a wheelchair with my suit on of his that we had to pin up and pinch in the back so it would fit me, and a pipe and glasses, and rolled to school in a wheelchair. So it was always everything was practical. It wasn't just what you learned at school was how you're going to be smart in your life. It was more, I'd rather take you to the racetrack to learn math than sit in a math class at school. So he would, and my mom would get really pissed. She'd come home and go, "What are all these tickets doing on the ground? All these racetrack tickets?" He go, they're from the truck. She goes, I know where they're from. How did they get here? And he go, well, I went around and picked everybody up. It was opening day at Santa Anita, and we spent the day at the track, and she was going to orbit. She go, you fucking kidding me? My kids were at the track all day? I thought they were at school. So, but then he'd say, you know, Sean, Corey, what, you know, if a horse went off at 5 to 1 and you had $2 to win on it, what would it be? And Corey would go, 320. She goes, see, math. So they're fine. Leave them alone. If they get B's and C's, they're going to be okay.
Right. That is funny. That is hilarious. Did he write a lot of the material, or was it written for him when he was on specifically the Carol Burnett show? Obviously, McHale's Navy, they have all the script writers, and they do with Carol Burnett and these other things. But did he?
Yeah, he was a writer.
Was involved in some of the writing and what those sketches would be?
He was. He, in fact, a couple of the Emmys. He has 6 Emmys, and a few of them, 2 or 3 maybe, were for writing. It wasn't for performing on the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah.
They were for writing. So he was in the writer's room every time they were, and then go out and do it, and then back in the writer's room. And you know, a lot of it I think he wanted to get in there so he could see what they were thinking, and then what he was thinking, which was different than what they were thinking. So he'd go home and figure out something to blast everybody with on Fridays when they taped. So it was convenient for him to be in the writer's room, so he could dream something up that they didn't know about.
So he had a sense of what they wanted, what was going to happen. Then he would throw in his Tim Conway 2 cents when it was being recorded.
Exactly. 2 totally different scenarios.
Totally different stuff. And they would run with it. They would love it. And oftentimes it was probably even better than what the original thought process was, right?
Yeah, they let him. I think that was the great part about it. The chemistry between all of them, and the friendship and the love they had for each other, and letting my dad and everybody really do what they want. And, you know, it's to keep somebody like my dad in closed in space as to, you know, it's these lines and don't ad lib and stick to the script. You're not going to get anything out of him, really. Right. I mean, of course he can do it, but why not let somebody go create and do what they do best? And that's exactly why it was so good, is because Carol and her husband Joe Hamilton let my dad do that.
They sure did. They sure did, which again had just enhanced the entire show and brought so much levity and levity, as we call it, to the actual broadcast itself, which is so iconic. And you don't really see a lot of that anymore today, do you? A lot of it is missing. A lot of things are canned and overly scripted, and they're really trying to stretch for the laugh. These shows, the Carol Burnett shows, the Lucys, the Dick Van Dykes, all these shows.
Saturday Night Live kind of still does it a little bit. Which is a variety show. You know, there's a musical guest and there's sketches. So that's kind of, I feel like that might be the only one left, is it? I mean,
one of the remaining.
I don't know if any other shows that are all formatted, but yeah, it's the same thing. And, you know, when you see them laugh and go off script, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. You know who we had on recently? John Davidson. Of course, remember
really?
John? Yeah. He was on.
That photo on book is from a show that John Davidson was on. Henry Fonda was in. It was a TV special, and Henry Fonda was in it. And my dad had a fishing outfit on. It was somewhere in the lake. I think it was at the Disney Ranch out in North
this photo here, you mean?
Pardon?
This photo here?
Yeah, that was from a show that John Davidson was in. Wow. Yeah, and I don't know, it was a special, and it was Henry Fonda, John Davidson, and I don't remember who else, but it was a fishing thing, and that what my dad has on was a costume. That's a fishing vest and a fishing hat, and it was. I'd love to ask him about that, because that's all I know about it, and that's my favorite picture, and I'd love to see what he remembers about it.
That's a cool shot. Yeah, it really is a cool shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a cool venue up in New Hampshire called Club Sandwich, and he lives in Sandwich, New Hampshire now.
Wow.
That's where he is, and it's a little venue, like a little club, and people. And we went up to New Hampshire to see him this summer,
Wow.
and he's just really spirited. There's an episode on our series on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters Show and Jim Masters TV, where he was on. We were talking about all, That's Incredible and Hollywood Squares and all the other things that he did, and the John Davidson Show and so much more. And he was terrific. So yeah, he's living his bliss in beautiful New Hampshire. He loves it. He's got the place called Club Sandwich because he's in Sandwich, New Hampshire.
That's
It's
amazing.
a
That's
little music
awesome.
venue.
He was so nice. I do remember him from that. And I was probably 10 years old, maybe, probably in about fourth grade. And I
Yeah,
went to work with my dad one day. Again, probably not, should have been in school, but went to
yeah.
work with my dad.
Who are some
And
of the
I
other
remember
folks?
that. I don't know
Yeah,
much about it, but that's what I remember.
but you remember that. I'll have to mention that to him too. Um, who are some of the other folks you probably got a chance to meet that came through the studio when you were there? Or even just
Um,
people when he wasn't in the studio, just people that he had an opportunity to know and work with.
yeah. McLean Stevenson, I love that photo.
Oh yeah.
Um, McLean Stevenson was a really good friend of his, also, and he would sometimes he'd be over at the house a lot. Um, in fact, I think he slept on the couch for a little while because I think he was having problems at home, and
Mm.
he slept.
Yeah.
All the beds were taken at my house because I have 5 brothers, but I think he stayed with us for a little bit. But he used to pick me up at school sometimes if my mom and dad were busy. He'd come in his super cool sports car convertible, which I've never seen anything like it because we had stupid station wagons. Um, and he'd come pick me up at school and take me out and hang out and go get ice cream until parents got home. And we had a blast. He was such a nice man. And he was like a cool uncle, to hang out with.
There was a show that he was in, something Harry, right? I forget the name of it. That McLean Stevenson. They created a show just for him too.
Yeah.
I think it was on NBC or CBS. Hello, no, Larry. Hello, Larry. I think it was
Yeah.
called Hello,
Yeah.
Larry.
That's after MASH.
Yep, right after MASH. Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool stuff.
He was great. He was such a nice guy. Really
I
funny.
know.
Oh my gosh.
Gone too soon as well. Yeah,
Way too soon.
yeah, and
That was probably the first person I knew in my life, being a kid. I was probably in my teens. No, not in my teens, but my 20s when he passed away. That was sad. That was horrible because he was like family.
yeah.
That's probably the first one I experienced.
So, was the book something that you knew you wanted to always write, or was it something that just came to you sort of quickly? Because
It,
not everybody, has the gumption to want to write, and sometimes they think it's too personal or it's too emotional to share these things. I
no,
mean, I think it's beautiful because you're celebrating somebody and you're sort of opening up maybe a little bit more to their
right,
who they are and telling the story of who they are from the perspective of not just the public at large and the fellow producers and the people in the industry, but from the family, from the daughter who
right.
saw and recognized and appreciated and loved his comedy, his wit, his humor, but also who the person Tim Conway was.
Yeah, I mean, being the eldest and his only daughter, we had a crazy special relationship. He was my best pal, and vice versa. We had every kid has a different relationship with their parent. So my brothers did too, but it was different because I was the only girl, and just different. No better, no worse, just my pal. And I'm not a writer, and I don't know how to write. I mean, barely, because I probably was at the racetrack more than I should have been when I should have been in English. But
Yeah.
I was approached by somebody, Roger Neal, who was my dad's publicist at the time, after he passed away, and asked if I wanted to write a book. And I said, I don't know. I said, nobody, who cares about my story? He goes, you'd be surprised, because, it's with your dad, and so much of your time is with your dad, and the relationship you had, the bond you had with him. And I thought about it, and I went, oh, sure, I would love to. And that, yeah, like you said, it's, do I want to uh, take that private stuff and put it in front of the world to see it? And yeah, it's because the stories are so fun and so good, and he's such kind, funny, awesome dad. My brothers think so too. So I'm not a writer, but I met Caroline St. Clair, who was my co-writer, and I can tell a story, but she's the writer, and we wrote 3 or 4 days a week during the whole quarantine lockdown last year. So that was just a convenient time, not convenient, but an epic time to be writing. I would have been doing nothing but eating and cooking and hearing bad news day after day. So, writing over the phone and over Zoom calls sometimes with Caroline was great. And I'm so happy I did it, because it's such a good tribute to him and all my brothers and my mom, and just what our house was like. And when people, I don't go into a room and announce who my dad is, because nobody cares really. But if people find out, if I'm at work or a dinner party, whatever, who my dad is, whether somebody tells them or they put my name together with his, the first question they ask me is, what was it like growing up in that house? That must have been
Yes.
insane. And
Yeah.
it was insane in a way that it was just the most fun place you could ever want to be. And there was no drama, nobody throwing things at each other, luckily. My brothers.
Because a
Uh,
lot of times, the houses where the people grow up, especially, in Hollywood or wherever, it doesn't always match what we see on the screen.
exactly.
Sometimes the entire time is turmoil and chaos, and there isn't any love. And
Yeah,
by the time they get home, they're exhausted, aggravated, worn out, depleted,
exactly.
where they don't, where the family, the husband or the wife, the kids, the partner, whatever, is almost to them a bother or in the way, or I don't have time for this.
Yeah,
Your dad obviously made sure that that was never the case. He was
yeah,
there for you, even though he was, on television and beloved around the world. Still, he made time for what matters most. I wonder if, I mean, it happens everywhere. It isn't specifically just this, but I wonder if a little of that Midwestern quality sunk in home and
for sure.
hearth and family values and some of the things that really matter in life. Here he is, the glitz and the glamour are all around him, and it's fun and you enjoy it and you soak it all up. But underneath that, he knew the things that mattered most.
Things that mattered. And he born and raised in near Cleveland, and my mom too, from Dearborn, Michigan. Uh, that Midwest thing. I'm most comfortable in, back when I go visit. My family had a cottage up on Lake Erie, not far on the Canadian side, not far from Detroit, where my mom's family kind of landed in this little summer village. And those are the places I love the most. And because they're the nicest, warmest neighbors and friends and strangers that you talk to, it doesn't, it's not like here, and yeah, of course I've surrounded by amazing friends and nice people where I live. And it's a different life. And my dad didn't like that Hollywood uh, thing, the crazy parts of it, the scandalous parts, and there was no, people used to ask him, how come you're never in the trades and in the rag magazines? And at the time it was only National Enquirer, really. um no, they never talk about you. My dad goes, I'm as boring as it gets. Like, I don't, why would they write about me? I don't go to parties. I don't, I'm not up out all night. I'm here at home. And so and he really did it. It was, I think he, for sure, right? He brought that Midwestern, the values and the way to raise us, by how he was raised and how he thought it worked. Because you go back east, and my friends' kids back east are my friends. They're not like, oh hey, you barely put their phone down for a minute to say hi to you. They are waiting and ready for you to come over and to hang out. And grandparents hang out with the little ones, that hang out with the in-betweens, and these all the families that are in one room having a great time together. It's not the grown-ups in one room and the kids in the playroom, It's everybody in one room having a blast.
Mm. And that's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
I think that's a Midwest thing, I think that it's just, so-and-so's coming over for dinner, and it's not, the kids eat first or at a different table. You just, you come over for dinner, and whatever you have, you bring. And that's why I can't wait to get back there. It's been hard because this last couple of years with the border
Yes.
crossings and the mandates and regulations. So I can't wait to get back there
Mm.
soon.
Do you spend the holidays back east?
Usually summer. I try to. I'm at least a month there. At this little town. It's called Erie, Ontario, and it's on Lake Erie, and it's right across. If you were to take a boat directly across the lake, Lake Erie from Cleveland, that's exactly where it is. And my mom's family built a cottage there when she was a kid, and all my relatives and friends of friends, and this little 1,000-town fishing village that has a little yacht club, which isn't a yacht club, it's a garage, somebody's
Yeah.
garage that has a yacht club flag on it. And it's great. And I miss it. But yeah, I'll go back there in the summer, and I ski a lot here. I really just work so I can have enough money to ski a lot. And so that's what I'm waiting for, is the snow to fall now. And I have to
Toby's,
work a little bit.
yeah, of course. Toby says, I'm sure the book will be a bestseller.
Oh,
Absolutely. And Kathleen Walker in New York City says, how long did you work on the book? You're lucky to have had such great memories. Yeah, when did you start writing the book, and how long did it take for you to, have it come to completion? And when did you know also when it was done, when you put the period on the last sentence?
yeah. We came to the meeting that we were going to write the book, and I met Caroline, who wrote with me, and in December 2019. So by the time we cleared schedules, and January 2020, mid-February, we were introduced and spent some time on the phone and FaceTime to talk about what we want to do. And then right kind of at the end of February, we started writing, and then it was beginning of March, right? The first or second week of March, where everything shut down in the
Yeah,
world.
that's
Everything
right.
shut down. And so that's when we started, and we had a schedule, about 3 or 4 days a week. We would meet on the phone, and I would tell stories, and I'd have, bullet points and how I wanted it to read. And Caroline would make it beautiful, and then we'd talk again and edit and rewrite and do it again a few times that during the week. And so it took a year, and I thought, I had no idea. I'm like, so we started in February, and I'm thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be great if by May, the 1 year anniversary of my dad's passing, if we could get the book by then. I'm thinking, we can get this done in a few
Yeah,
weeks.
you're
And
right.
it was a year. I don't think we turned in our first draft around Christmas 2020. And so then around to this year, to 2021, was
Mm.
editing pictures and going through editing the book, and deciding how it should look. And I loved designing the cover. That was the fun part. That's my thing, and they let me do it, and they let me have all the creative. They had a little bit like, what do you think of this? And I go, yeah, that's good, but this is what I like. And they were patient and nice and kind and let me do what I felt would look good. And when, my dad was born in 1933, and he was born December 15th, 1933. And we were at around chapter 32 and kind of coming to a close. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if it was 33 chapters? And we finished, honestly, like we finished the chapter 32 with a story about funeral and all of that in the end. And it was sad. And then chapter 33 is, this is what I'm doing now, and this is what my dad's legacy has meant to me and has left engraved in us and as kids. And so it was kind of a wrap it up chapter. So that was chapter 33. And then,
was that a difficult chapter to write because it was coming towards the end?
no, it wasn't. It was it was hard, and yeah, I cried, and some of the chapters were hard to write. But if I just, got a glass of water and sucked it up, I am the luckiest girl on the planet and got to have all that. So it was sad because it would be great if he was here helping me with it, because he was such a great writer. But I think he would be proud of what we did. I'm proud of it. It's a big deal. And I'm not used to being on this side of it at all. Like I said, I would be dressing the person who's sitting here and have a rack full of clothes and figuring that part out. So this is different for me.
To be in front of the camera doing what your dad would be able to do naturally, just there it is. There's the camera light. But you're doing it with love, it's coming from a place of love, which is one of the most.
I know the answers to all your questions. It's not anything
Isn't that
I can be stumped on.
You did good.
If I don't know the answer to these,
if you don't know the answer to these questions, then
the only answers I know.
Right.
And the book. So the book was meant to be out on November 1st, which is soon. But because of everything in the world and how it's going, things are delayed. These are delayed. Yeah. And at first I thought, that's, with other things with like empty shelves and things like that. And, people are just slacking off, but it's things are delayed, and
it's a serious delay.
Yeah. Serious printing and people. And, so it got delayed a little bit, and the publisher's office called and said, hey, we're going to delay the book till December 15th. And I went, okay, that's cool. That's my dad's birthday.
How ironic and perfect is that, huh?
Yeah. So that was another little sign that, because they have no idea when, who would know when my dad's birthday is. And it was just, was it going to be November 15th or December 1st or the December 15th, and maybe we should wait till after the first of the year, but it's December 15th. And that was it. So I'm pretty happy about that. No complaints from me.
What do you hope people are left with when they read this book, My Dad is Funnier Than Yours? They'll probably attach certain things. There's a certain relatability that they'll find even in their own lives. Maybe there was a funny person in their life as well. But what do you hope people are left with? A deeper understanding of who your dad, Tim Conway, was as a person, as much as a brilliant comic? Or are there other things as well that you hope when they read the book, they feel and that they're left with?
You said it. I mean, he, to be able to share this love, my dad and I had, it's pretty awesome. And what an opportunity to have somebody say, yes, that I can do this. And I get to do it, and talk to you and to let people read what went on at my house, was pretty amazing. And his kindness and his big heart and the way, like I said, the way he thought of things, it wasn't it wasn't a traditional kid raising. It was a little left of center, and we had a blast, and that it comes through in the book, I hope. And it's, stories with all my brothers in it and my mom and our friends and things we did as a family. And it was packed and it was chaotic and it was crazy at times. Because people have help now with this and nannies and things like that. And it was just each man for himself. and so I hope people enjoy the stories and the photos. There's over 100 photos, and that's the fun part too. There's also at the end where it was a little sad and controversial, where my stepmom of over 30 years, who I loved and I knew her well, and we had a great relationship. We traveled sometimes without my dad even. So it was a great relationship. And then when my dad started fading a little bit and needed some help and treatment, somehow she decided that I wasn't allowed to see him or to learn about or to know about his medical condition or doctors and nurses. And it escalated to a point of my having to get a lawyer and people involved that I would never want to do. And one of my dad's really strict things in life was, don't draw extra attention to yourself. Don't, by wearing something or being loud somewhere, or just, don't be a wallflower, but don't draw the extra attention to yourself. It's not a good thing to do. It's desperate. And I didn't want to get a lawyer. I didn't want to go that route, but I wanted to see my dad. And if I had been an absent kid, or he was an absent dad, then you know what, to my stepmom, you do whatever you think is right, and call me if something happens. But I was way too close with him. We were too involved. I talked to him every day. I mean, we talked or saw each other pretty much every day, except if one of us was out of town. So we were close, and that not being able to see him, to get a court order to have to be able to see my dad, is something that I still don't understand. So in doing that, I learned that this happens a lot more than I thought happened, and that people do. And since my dad passed away, I've had 3 or 4 completely separate friends in different groups of friendships come to me and go, this is happening to me. My stepmom or my stepdad or my uncle, who's in charge of my aunt, won't let me see her. And it happens. In fact, they're building departments in law offices now dedicated just to this. So it tells that part of the story, which isn't as fun as the first half of the book, but it's true and it's heartfelt. And my fight for my dad was undying, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of this book, but that was a project. But my dad and the fight that I fought for him, just to be at home instead of comfortable at home with familiar things around him and people and love, rather than being in a facility. So I fought, and I fought hard. And so there's some information in that way. Carrie Kasem is one of the people that really helped me. A similar situation happened with her dad, Casey Kasem.
Casey Kasem, yeah.
So she's the first person I got a hold of to do this, and she guided me through it, and she is amazing. She goes around the country and she fights. She gets laws passed in different states. She goes to the Supreme Court to try to get laws passed for adult children of elderly parents or grandparents or whatever it is, whoever the relative is, to be able to see them, because it happens so much more often than we think. And it's a disgusting way to end somebody's great life, whether he's a comedian like my dad, or whether the mechanics family, or whatever
Just
the career
anybody.
is. It's a kid and a parent, and if that's the end, you want to be around that person and help them to suffer less. That's all you want to do. I can't go in and cure my dad. I don't know anything about it. Let the doctors do that, but talk to the doctors. But just to help this last lap around the track, I'm gonna cry, be
Right.
as painless as possible. That's all I wanted, is to suffer less. So
Which
that's
is,
part I'm proud of too.
there's nothing more. You did your thing, he did his thing, and you did your thing, and he was there for you, and you were there for him, and he knows that,
Sorry.
Nah, hey,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. I've been known to do that.
Hey, I've
I've
done a bunch of these so far, and it hasn't been this. So
well, you
sorry.
obviously you feel comfortable, and you're in a safe zone here with us. It's a beautiful thing, what you did. Um, and not everybody would do that. Everybody would just, some people would just be like, okay, let's count the money now, all that type of stuff. You had this relationship with this person who you saw as your dad, you saw as this comedic
He's a
genius,
superhero. My dad is a
but he
superhero.
was the hero, right? He
Yeah,
was this force of love and fun and safe and humor and caring and empathy and kindness and making everybody else laugh, making sure everybody else had what they needed.
exactly.
The Midwestern values there in Hollywood, and making sure there was home and hearth and all of that. And there was no way, because he gave you all of that love and that care and that attention for you and the family, that you could ever abandon him, or just let him
No
fade off
way.
into the dust,
I
which
wanted to hang out with him more than I mean. I would tell him. He'd go, "It's Saturday night. Why are you here?"
you,
I go,
because I
"Because
want
I'm
to be with
hanging out
you
with you more than them."
than the
I,
rest of
I
them.
I'd
Right.
so much rather hang out with my dad,
Yeah.
because he was fun, and for someone, I'm old, and for somebody to, my dad, to know where I was all the time, uh, making sure I was safe and sound, and making sure he was safe and sound wherever we were. It's just, that's what we did.
And it's a void, obviously, that's never filled. You can try to fill it in other ways, but telling his story and sharing it does do that in some way. There's
Yeah.
some sense of, there's never closure, but there is some sense of it, a little bit makes it a little softer by
It does.
sharing these stories with the world,
Okay.
and these photos and the commentary. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a gift to him and to the public who has loved and admired him all these years. And it's a gift to yourself. And you also gave a gift to him and to yourself in watching over him. He watched over you all your life.
Oh my God.
And now when he needed somebody there, you were there, and he was able to count on you to make sure that it was a peaceful situation for him. Not everybody does
Yeah.
that, but obviously that moralistic, ethical way of being is something that you absorbed from him, from
For
his
sure.
way of being. You know what I mean? If he was a different kind of guy, and your parents and that the household wasn't necessarily set up that way,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't something that would have come naturally to
Be a different
put
story.
put your life on hold and make sure that he was cared for.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it's a
To the
beautiful,
end.
yeah, it's a beautiful story. That's why I tell people the book, has all the comedy and the humor and all the things you would expect. Um, but it goes pretty deep, and there's a lot of loving moments in the book as well that come from the heart and
Yeah.
soul of Kelly, Tim's daughter. Maureen is watching in Arizona. She's a nurse, and she says, "I empathize with you, Kelly. My brothers and sisters went through the same thing.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
sorry for that pain that you live with. My heart goes out to you."
I want to see
Um,
her picture. Thank
uh,
you. Yeah, and
she looks
my
like a
heart goes out to
sweetheart, doesn't
her because
she?
she's a
Yeah.
nurse, and she's a superhero now. Boy, these nurses and doctors and frontline people, workers, are It's unbelievable what they've done this past year and a half. So thank you, Maureen, for
Yes.
keeping the world safe and
Keeping us
sound.
safe and caring for
But
us.
yeah, it happens more than we think, and I hope that their situation gets solved. It's a tough one, and it's not about it. And then people think, it's about money. It has nothing to do with money, and I made that very clear in all the court papers. Plus, I don't think there is very much, or was. We all have jobs and we all support ourselves, so it wasn't that. It was just to help him suffer less.
Right,
That's all
exactly.
you want.
That's what it's about. Yeah. It's really, you know, what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself during this time of the situation we've been in the last couple of years? You wrote the book, which is a beautiful thing. There's been a lot of quiet times and a lot of teachable moments during this pandemic where we've been
Yeah.
looking at our lives. What do we want to do next? How do we want to inspire others continually? This book will be a great source of inspiration for many people. What did Kelly learn about Kelly during all of this time?
I think that I'm at peace with what I did for my dad. I'm at peace with, it's a natural progression of life when parents leave, and no matter how close or how distant you are from them, they're your parents, and there would be nobody ever like them again. And it's hard to lose, but it's a different situation than losing a spouse. It's the natural progression, or different than losing a child. So I'm at peace with my dad leaving, because I felt like I did everything I could, and there were no secrets or no things I had to tell him or learn. I was there to the end, and some people live with some guilt because maybe they weren't, but it's not. But there's nothing wrong with what they did, and my dad taught us that too. When Harvey passed away, he was in the hospital for a while, and he was like a second dad to me. He was awesome.
Harvey
And I
Korman,
would tell
yeah,
him things that I maybe couldn't tell my dad right away, or
right.
maybe would never tell him,
Sort of like
because
filter it
Harvey,
through Harvey first, get his take
yeah,
on it. How
what do you
should I
think about
approach this
this? And
with
he'd be
dad? Yeah.
like, "You're gonna give your dad a heart attack. No, you can't do that. You're not going skydiving." Um,
Right.
so when Harvey was in the hospital, and I went to visit him a couple times, and he went home for a little bit, and then he went back in the hospital. And I remember the time I was working. I was on a couple jobs, and I was, working all hours, and really busy. And I didn't go see him in the hospital toward the end. And I heard my dad called me when he passed away, and I remember exactly where I was. I was on Hollywood Boulevard in a junkie store looking for a junkie costume for something, and told me that he passed away. And I was
Mm.
I was devastated that I didn't go visit him, and more so because he was getting older, and things like that happen, and I don't it's never fun. But I was so devastated that I didn't go, and I felt guilty. And my dad said, whoa, whoa, whoa. He goes, you did exactly what you wanted to do. It's not, you didn't do what you had to do. You didn't do what somebody else told you to do. You visited him when you could and when you wanted to. It wasn't out of guilt. And people should understand that too. If they're losing somebody and they have a sick relative, and maybe they don't want to go to the hospital or to a funeral because that's how they protect themselves. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to live with it then. um, you can't be bogged down with the guilt. Like, I didn't do this or I didn't do that, but you do what you want to do. And if that's not what you want to do, then that's fine. Um, everybody's different. I learned that too. My brothers were kind of scattered. A couple are in Arizona, one's in Colorado, and a couple are in LA. I'd be like, because I'm the eldest, and you know, why don't you come over, and dad's gonna be home on blah blah blah. And they'll go, you're not my leader, you're not my boss, you're just like mom, you're trying to be like mom. And I'm like, oh God, okay, it's dad. But I learned to back off, and whatever they wanted to do was fine. And from then on out, it was much smoother ride, because yeah, I was being like my mom, trying to get everybody together and to have everyone in the same room, because my dad loved us all so much. But if they had other things going on, and by the way, my dad wouldn't be bothered by it either, because we grew up in a house where my dad would say, after my mom and dad's divorce, he'd say, "Hey, I'm having Thanksgiving at the house on this day, on Thursday afternoon. If you want to come, great. If you're skiing, no problem. We'll get a hot dog on Tuesday when you get back." So there was no pressure to have to be somewhere or do anything. And that's kind of where my brothers and I all took it. There's no pressure for me to be there with my dad. It wasn't out of guilt. It was out of my love, that I wanted to keep him safe and sound. Like he kept
Right,
me.
right, exactly. So beautifully said and so beautifully shared, my friend. Really, I think people will get so much out of this book. They'll feel good. They'll probably connect with it and relate to it on so many different levels. And the fact that you wrote the book and not somebody else, sometimes when it comes to celebrities in Hollywood, you have where somebody else writes the book and it's their take on who they think Tim Conway was, or they try to dig things up that don't even exist or embellish.
Right.
Here it is, you, his loving daughter, who cherishes his memory and cherished him while he was here, and who he cherished, writing almost like a love story in a way. And it's a beautiful tale with the humor, with the photos. It's really something extra special, and it's like it's legacy, and it's keeping his legacy alive as well. He's not somebody. There are people that come through in your individual lives, all of our lives, as well as those we admire from afar, who are irreplaceable. They're just sort of one of a kind because they went the extra mile, because they really cared and they listened.
Exactly.
And they made the world a better place. And Tim Conway, just in chatting with you, Kelly, what I already thought about him, which was a lot, it was like, okay, signed, sealed, delivered, stamp of approval in having you on my show tonight. And
Thanks
and
for
I'm sure
having me.
this was, I hope if you're on the East Coast or I'm doing a television shoot on the West, I'd love to break bread and chat more.
Please.
It would be a pleasure to do that. I just think
that would be great.
Absolutely. You opening up and not everybody has the stamina to do that. And you did. And it's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing. So this is, it's coming out in December. Be a great holiday gift, anything. It'll be, I'm sure, on, Amazon and all the usual places where you can find it. But it was really
it's pre-order right now. Like I said, December 15th, but it's Amazon and Target and anywhere books are sold, really.
Anywhere books are sold.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for people to look at it and read it. And it's a sweet story. And if I didn't have that relationship with him, like you said, you could be a call-in parent, but he was my pal from the very beginning. And I'm proud of it. And I think he would be too.
What it does too is it really, like I said, it's like a stamp of confirmation that this funny guy that we saw on television and in movies, stage, really was a nice guy as much as he was funny, and played a lot of nice guys too. He really was a nice guy who was really authentically funny, not just a guy who put on the mask and then the mask came off and he was a tyrant. This Tim was, there was something about, I always picked up these vibes that he was who he was on screen. There was just something about him. He was so good and so real and so authentic that I couldn't see
there are a few
mask.
people like that. And I think people can tell. you know?
Yes, that's what it is. And I think that's what
Kids
pe-
and animals can tell.
kids and animals, like Art Linkletter, was it he that said that? They can say the darndest things.
Yep.
Which, and they cut to the chase. You know who else
Yeah, you can
also?
sniff out the good ones and the bad ones.
That's right. That's right. You know who else was able to do that? Who's actually with us tonight? He's sort of my sidekick. George Burns is with us.
Oh my God. Exactly.
There he is.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? I always show it
That's
towards
so
the
cool.
end, and he's got his little cigar there and everything. He's all set. I don't know if you did.
That's so
Isn't that
life.
a
I mean, it
cool?
looks
It
exactly like him.
doesn't it? He's looking right at you. He comes in the
So
end
good.
just to say you knocked it out of the park and you did well, kiddo. And of course, remember he played God in the movie too, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
we actually have him on set. We've got Dreama Denver, who's Bob Denver's wife. He played Gilligan, of course, and was in Dobie Gillis. She sent a Gilligan Island or a Gilligan bobblehead doll, and we've got the I
Oh,
Dream of Genie bottle here, and a lot of television things.
how
But
cool is
this was
that?
my aunt's, and she collected dolls. And when George turned 100, they came out with a limited edition doll. He's on a tall
It's
pedestal, and
so good.
it's really, really cool. So it got passed down to me. And last year I started adding it to the show and people just love it. So I bring it in
It's
towards the
great.
end. And isn't it cool?
I always
Whatever.
say that, like, people, take care of yourself and run 5 miles a day and don't drink, don't smoke, and do this and that, and then you get something and you go early. Like it's so many things have to come together and or not come together to have this long life. But and then you take someone like George Burns, who drank and smoked pretty much every
I,
day
I,
to
I
100 years old, and he
and
was
the rest of
fine.
us
So
have to watch cholesterol and
yeah,
sugar and all that stuff. It's like,
yeah. So
George, what's your secret? Maybe it's the martinis or something. And the cigar, I
maybe
don't
that's
know.
it: a cigar, a martini, and some fun parties.
Yeah, and you have to laugh, right? You have to laugh. That's
That's
one thing that your dad taught. My father has always said, if anybody, this is probably a line your father would have loved. My father has always said, if anybody ever says something nice to you, please ask them to put it in writing and address it management.
uh, please.
Yeah,
You
it's
may
that.
never hear it again.
Right. That kind of humor is just it's just the best, that real witty stuff. I want to show you some of the levity coming in from the viewers, Kelly. Christine Clifton in North Carolina says, Kelly, congrats on your book. We can tell from the conversation tonight that this book and the stories are close to your heart. Thanks for allowing us to know more about your beloved
Wow.
father. Perfect title to the book as well. Kathleen in New York City. Thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing your life and your dad's life with us. We are lucky to have met you
Wow.
here. Maureen in Arizona. Kelly, you're such a lovely person and clearly loved your dad. And to honor him by writing the book is a beautiful thing. He is surely smiling down on you, his beautiful baby girl.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Maureen. Oh my
really
gosh.
beautiful stuff. And Allison writes, Jim, you look good and hot. Okay. I mean, thank you, Allison. Hey, can we print that one out? We
Yeah.
can't print these.
Sign
Can we
it.
print these? Yeah, let's print this one here. She also says, thank you for telling us about your father and sharing the story. Thank you, Allison. See, you got to have a little humor in there, right? Mary Bishop says, thanks, Kelly.
Awesome.
Looking forward to reading the book. And that's beautiful as well. And Sherry in Kansas says, congratulations on the book. Can't wait to read it. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. Jane, who's always with us, one of our lovelies watching late at night in Sweden, says, thank you,
What?
Kelly. Yeah, we have the
Get to
viewers come from.
sleep. What time is it there? Jeez, it's the middle of the night.
I'm always telling her you could watch these episodes in the archives on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, but she
I'm like
wants.
Jane though. I want it live or nothing.
Yes. That's how I am. Exactly right. There's something about the energy of live, and uh, the television that I've done and the radio has always, a lot of it, most of it's been live. And when you watch the Carol Burnett show, it felt like you were watching it live in just the way that
Exactly.
they were. Hearts from Ruth Reedy as well. And
Thank
and
you.
Maureen says, I just love the title of your book. Like, who's going to argue with that? My dad is funnier than your dad. Thanks for sharing these personal and fascinating stories with us tonight, and even more in the book to learn more about your wonderful father. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm sure folks are learning a little bit more here. Jane wanted to give you the update. It's 3:45 a.m. in Sweden, where she is.
Yeah, middle of the night.
She's there. It's, she wanted to be here. I tell you, she wanted to
That's
be here.
amazing. Thank you.
It was really cool. This was truly, truly a blast, Kelly. You are
Thank
a
you so
kind
much. Thanks for
soul, and
having me.
the pleasure was all mine. You're a kind soul. You have a lot of humor that's been passed down as well, and you're a good-hearted person. And to share these stories with us here on our show is just absolutely a blessing. I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as
And
I have with
more.
you.
This was awesome. Great way to spend a Friday night.
I appreciate that, Kelly. We can't wait to get the book, and
Thanks.
I wish you nothing but continued blessings and joy. Matter of fact, before we go, sometimes I like to ask that. What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life that propel you to still enjoy life in the way that you do?
I was blessed with an awesome dad and an awesome mom who taught me how to ski really young.
Mm.
So I ski a lot, and I just kind of waiting for the snow right now. It snowed a couple times in our mountain, Mammoth Mountain, which is about a 5-hour drive from here. So I'm just waiting for more snow and to be up on top of that 11,053 feet up in the
Wow.
sky, that much closer to my mom and dad. And
Yeah, right,
I can
right.
talk to them up there, and
Yeah.
that's what I love, and that makes me the happiest when you kind of get up in your head in this last little while about the world and the way things are going or did go and what's happening. It's stressful, and you get a little anxious, and I'm not an anxious person at all, but I watch ski stuff and ski movies, and it just takes everything out. So I thank my mom for that too, for being a great skier. She learned how to ski in Germany,
Did she?
and she taught me. So that's that's a priority for me. So I work so I can ski.
You work so you can ski, right? Are you in a zone? Are you transported to another place in time when
Oh my
you are
gosh,
skiing? You're at the top of the
totally.
mountain?
Yeah, yeah. It's outside. It actually was the perfect sport uh, during the pandemic, because it's outside. You have a mask on if it's cold anyway over your face. You have gloves on, so and you're kind of separated from everybody. So it was the perfect sport for the time of the year, such as we had last year. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it this year. Yeah, it's peaceful, and um, I go by myself or go with friends, and it's always great.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your dad with us, not just in the book, but over the years, because I would imagine it isn't always easy when you have somebody in the family like your father who the world wants the attention of, and wants a piece of, and wants always in their room and always with them. And you have to sort of, in a way, share him with the world when he's yours, he's your father.
Yeah,
It's not always easy, especially when you're a kid. Dad, why do you have to go over there, or why do you have to be there or do that? Because it's part of the job, it's part of the career, it's part of what.
yeah,
But he seemed to be able to really master that
you
balance
did
of,
it.
yes, I have to go over there and do that, but no,
But I'll be
Kelly
back.
and kids, I will be right. It wasn't only Schwarzenegger that said, I'll be back. Tim Conway probably said it first. I'll be back.
Exactly. And he did. And it wasn't even, people say that, and I'm like, I guess he did, but we never felt that it was, you're at work too much, or you're this too much. It was just, he balanced it. And that's why he was so great.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, folks, binge on everything Tim Conway now. Go on YouTube, get DVDs, go on Tubi, watch Decades, Antenna TV, Cozy TV. I think Me TV is re-airing Carol Burnett and Friends. And you'll really get a reappreciation for him. And now you've gotten this real appreciation of the man through his loving daughter, Kelly Conway. You're the best, Kelly. Thanks so much for all the time. Would you believe
everybody?
We chatted for like an hour and 45 minutes. It doesn't even feel like it, does it?
God. Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't know what time it is.
Here it's 10 to 10.
What?
We're East Coast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it, right? Just a conversation.
Not at all.
Just like the old.
I'm gonna bore people to death.
No, they love this. They've been with us the whole time. Yeah, with us the whole time. They really are loving it. And everybody says it's so conversational, and it's like the old school talk shows, like a Dick Cavett or something. You just shoot the breeze, and we all learn something about one another, and that's the key.
Jim, thank you so much. You're so kind.
Pleasure.
And all your listeners and watchers are like, everyone's so nice. That's amazing.
All the lovities.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're now one of them too.
You're one of them. My chair.
You're one of them. And the chair, the famous chair. Maureen says, Kelly, thank you for being so brave with your stories tonight. Sending you tight hugs from Maureen in Arizona.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. You take care. You be well. Let's stay in touch. And you're welcome back anytime. And I wish you continued blessings and joy in your life. Keep smiling. Keep that humor going, and don't change a thing.
This is great. Thank you so much. And we'll keep in touch through Roger. Roger has your info and everything.
Yes, we'll stay connected. And this was really fantastic. Good luck with the book, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And can't wait to check it out as well, Kelly. You be well, okay?
Thanks.
Take care. Now go stretch those legs. That's what I tell all the guests. Get the circulation going and go stretch those legs.
You can see the chair.
There's the chair. There's the chair shot, gang.
The full chair. Thank you.
There it is. And you got a nice cup of coffee there, and the vase. I mean, you are a designer, because even in that little corner, everything, even your outfit, it's all color coordinated perfectly. Yeah. The whole set is like
it is so hot, and I had to close the door because I'm near PCH, and the siren on Friday night, the sirens, plus saying there's a fire. I heard this. I hope you didn't hear them, the sirens.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So the door's closed. I'm like, woo, it's hot in here.
Yeah.
But this is the coolest thing I could find.
But that's the coolest thing you have. And it looks great. It's all color coordinated. Bob Mackey would be proud.
I hope so.
Take care, my friend. It's a pleasure.
And
I hope we stay in touch. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. You too.
The incredible Kelly Conway here on the Jim Masters Show Live, daughter of comedy legend Tim Conway. Wow. That was so cool. I've always admired Tim Conway. One of the funniest men on television, in comedy, dry sense of humor. I love the delivery. And now you had an opportunity to hear from his daughter. And she shared with us not only the comedic moments, but also some really touching moments as well about the relationship, and also about things that happened within the family as he fell ill later on. She talks about that in the book as well. You're going to really want to read this book. And if you always admired Tim Conway, or even if you were on the fringe, maybe you didn't know who Tim Conway was. Maybe you just heard the name bandied about. Maybe you saw him once in a while on TV and shows and stuff, but you didn't know much about him. This book's going to give you a a real appreciation for this comedic legend, this television icon, um, who was a part of our lives for a long time, only up until very recently when he passed. So, yeah, and he just passed a couple years ago. You can tell that it's still fresh for Kelly. Of course it is. It's just a couple of years ago. Um, I love stuff like this, don't you? You guys love this kind of stuff. I mean, that's what this show's about. What we just had happen here, and what we basically have happen every night. Um, it's not an interview show. It's not just talking heads. It's real life. And whether it's me expressing it with all of you, you guys so gloriously pouring out your hearts and your comments live right now, and then later on, those who post later on our YouTube channel, which we encourage you to do, even when the show is not live, like, when we wrap up this episode and maybe you're watching this in the archives, leave a comment on our channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment. We look at those comments. I look at those comments, and it lets us know that you're really enjoying what we've created here, this community we've created, filled with entertainment, filled with celebrity friends, filled with music and stories, but filled with life and heart and soul. That's the kind of show I love doing. And that's what we are doing here. Something really cool, something very, very special. There's a lot of stuff out there you could be watching. There's so much content, so many things on television, on the internet you could be looking at, but all of you are here with us. And that really means something to me. It does to the guests. And I know it does for each of you. You really, really tell me how you love being a part of this JMS Live Lovity Hall community we've created here. That was very, very special what we just had happen here on the show with Tim Conway's daughter joining us live from California. Growing up in Hollywood or Encino, California, but still has those simple values about what life's all about. And Tim, the legend, the great guy, really set that tone. He and her mother really did. I mean, the humor, Carol Burnett. I would have loved to have met Tim Conway. It would have been a blessing. Many of you know I did have the phenomenal opportunity to meet Carol Burnett, who I also admire greatly, who is also the real deal. No ego, no airs about her. Warm, real, funny, kind, empathetic, witty. One of my favorite people as well, Carol Burnett, and I've had the opportunity to chat with her. I would love to have the opportunity to maybe have her on this show if it ever came to pass. But she's just somebody. People ask me, who are some of the people that either you have met or that you do know or that you would love to have known? Tim Conway would have been a love to have known. Carol Burnett, definitely somebody that I have known who is just unbelievable. And of course, the Carol Burnett show, which Tim was on, the amount of laughs. And what's really funny, you guys, of course, when you watch these episodes, so much of what happened became unscripted because of Tim and Carol, of course, the whole group, Vicky, Lawrence, Harvey Korman, Lyle Wagner, everybody, uh, and all the guest stars. But Tim just would throw some things in there that's the dentist sketch that you just didn't expect. And look at Harvey Korman's face. Kelly was talking to Harvey first sometimes before she told things to her dad, when it was something like, I'm going to go, skydiving or something. And you could see the friendship. That's one of those sets. There he is as the old man. And look at Harvey Korman choking, this classically trained, serious actor in stitches, because of something that Tim Conway threw in to the mix that was not necessarily scripted. McHale's Navy, of course, there's Ernest Borgnine in the center. And that's a classic 1960s situation comedy, McHale's Navy. There's another shot from McHale's Navy with Tim Conway. Look at those eyes. And of course, he was in movies, on stage, so much more. Look, look at the expression on Harvey Korman's face, trying not to laugh. And when Carol would try not to laugh as well. And here, this is, I think, on YouTube, when Harvey Korman received the Emmy for best, supporting actor, I guess it was, on the Carol Burnett show. And Tim, look at Tim's face. Looking up at Tim went on stage. He wasn't expected to go on stage. He wasn't called on stage. He just popped up on stage. And they did a little scene together, a little skit. There are three legends. There are three amazing comedy legends. Betty White, who's at the time of this show still with us. Carl Reiner, of course, the beloved Carl Reiner, creator of the Dick Van Dyke Show and so much more. You may remember we just had Douglas Denoff, the Broadway 7-time Tony-nominated Broadway producer, on. And his father, Sam Denoff, was one of the key writers on the Dick Van Dyke Show and That Girl and Good Morning World and so much more. And there's Carl Reiner, who created that. Dad of Rob Reiner, of course, you know, who was Mike Stivic on All in the Family. I'm sure you guys knew that, right? Carl Reiner and Rob Reiner. Carl is Rob's dad. Absolutely. And of course, Tim Conway on the right. This was in the series Hot in Cleveland, because Tim Conway hailed originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And if you're ever on YouTube, type in the name Ernie Anderson and then write ABC for the ABC television network. And you'll hear one of the greatest voice of God voices that was on television for a long time. Real deep, resonant voice. This is ABC and The Love Boat. And just, he really, one of my favorite, voices in television, commercials, and so much more. He and Tim were great, great friends. And it was Rosemarie who brought them out to Hollywood. Rosemarie, who played Sally on the Dick Van Dyke Show, she was very instrumental. Oh, yes, there was something that Kelly didn't mention that we forgot to mention, but Rosemarie, who was Sally on the Dick Van Dyke Show, here's a little bit of TV trivia for you guys. Kelly's godmother, Kelly Conway, daughter of Tim Conway, her godmother, Rosemarie. Yes, Sally from the Dick Van Dyke Show and so much more. Another prolifically, fantastically talented actress, Rosemarie, is the godmother to Kelly Conway, Tim Conway's daughter. Yes, we forgot to mention that. She mentioned that to me. I didn't even know that. She mentioned that to me before we went live on the show. That is really, really cool. All the great characters that he created over the years, really amazing. And these are just some of them. There's so many more. Just really, don't we need more of this kind of comedy? Some of the stuff today, is right in your face and it's so raw, which is good. It has, but some of this just real witty stuff. I miss some of it. And you look back at some of the older stuff and it's really, really cool. There's great comedy everywhere, but somebody like a Tim Conway he was somebody quite special, really, really quite special. And you know what I love too? Sometimes the guests don't know what photos we're going to show and what, anything like that. So you always get these oohs and ahs here on the Jim Masters Show Live when we show the various photos. And of this, set of photos that we shared tonight on the show, Kelly was very, I think, moved. You could tell she would giggle or she would pause. She loves this photo of her dad, Tim Conway. And she also loves this photo of her dad as well. And she's right. You can just see it in the eyes. Here is the book, gang. My Dad's Funnier Than Your Dad. And really cool. She referenced John Davidson, who has since become a friend after he was a guest on our show. And then I had an opportunity to go up 4th of July weekend to meet him and visit him at his new club Sandwich. And he was nothing but warm and funny. And we laughed. We actually went with some other great people, producers who produced. They produced Hollywood Squares when John Davidson was hosting Hollywood Squares, and Divorce Court and prolific television producers were there. And we all went upstairs and had some wine up above Club Sandwich. It was a really great conversation. Kelly, who's in this picture on the cover of the book with her dad, Tim Conway, right there, smiling. That photo, she said, has connection to a show that John Davidson was in. What a small world, huh? There's the book, gang, coming out in December of 2021. So look for it. I think you're going to enjoy it. Speaking of television icons, I do want to let you know that on Monday, TV icon Charlotte Rae, who, of course, was Mrs. Garrett on The Facts of Life. She was also on Different Strokes with Todd Bridges and Conrad Bain and Gary Coleman. Her son is going to be with us. Tim Conway's daughter was tonight. Charlotte Rae's son is on Monday. Charlotte, of course, is no longer with us. Beloved actress. She even played Molly, the mail lady, on Sesame Street way back. And she was just fantastic. Beloved. Her son wrote this wonderful book, Light Man. And they're going to be with us. He's going to be with us on Monday. Tomorrow, we have an amazing guest tomorrow. Judy Scott is with us tomorrow. She's a wonderful author, and wait till you hear her story. She was a very close, dear friend of the brilliant composer and writer and arranger and performer, Leonard Cohen. And they had time spent on this Greek island with Leonard and Judy and their friend Marianne. And it sounds a little bit like Gilligan's Island, doesn't it? Marianne and the professor. And she writes about it. She shares it deeply in this book, Leonard, Marianne, and me. And she's going to be here tomorrow. That's Saturday, tomorrow at a special time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So that's 3 p.m. We're doing a show earlier tomorrow. For those of you who are watching live, of course, if you watch this later in the archives, then anything we're saying is past tense, and you can just scroll back and look at more than 500 episodes we have done here on the series, which is incredible. So she's going to be with us, Judy Scott, with us tomorrow, which is going to be absolutely amazing. She's looking forward to it. And then Charlotte Rae's son, Larry, the author, is going to be with us on Monday. We also have Gabrielle Stone, daughter of legendary Hollywood actress Dee Wallace, who was the mom in E.T. She was also in Hills Have Eyes and The Howling and Cujo and so much more. She was on every TV show you can think of, Streets of San Francisco, everything. Dee Wallace. Her fantastic daughter is a brilliant actress, director, and best-selling author. She's got a new book out. Gabrielle Stone, daughter of Dee Wallace, is with us on Tuesday. And then you know who's with us on Tuesday night? Yes, Beaver Cleaver. Jerry Mathers, who played Beaver on the beloved television series, 50s, 60s television series on CBS. Leave It to Beaver. Jerry Mathers himself, live from Hollywood, is going to be with us on Tuesday night. Yes, that's really cool. We're excited about it. Not only is he is a great actor, but he also is a terrific spokesperson for diabetes, because in the 90s he was diagnosed, I believe it was type 2 diabetes. So he's been an amazing advocate for diabetes and research and so much more. And he's going to be with us coming up on Tuesday. Have you seen the episode we did with Robin from Batman, Burt Ward? Look back in the archives. That was a cool episode with Burt. He helps animals too, dogs, rescues, feeds. He's got this whole pet food company with his wife. If you didn't see that episode, scroll back. When Don Fullilove from the Back to the Future movies, who played Goldie Wilson, was with us. Check that episode out. Did you see the episode where music legend Frida Payne and I sang happy birthday to one another just a couple of weeks ago? That was very, very cool too. Good stuff. Let's check out some of the comments here, and then we will wrap what was another terrific show. This was Double Lovity Day, gang, because we had two shows today. We had an afternoon show at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. On Tuesday, we actually have three shows. We have we have actress and producer and director Antonia Casper, live from New York City. She's in a new show, and she is hilarious, and she's actually a dear friend. She's going to be with us at a special time on Tuesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And then Gabrielle Stone is going to be with us in the afternoon. I think that's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And then Jerry Mathers, that's, what do you call it? A double lovity. There's that triple lovity, I guess. 3 shows next Tuesday. Wow. Going to be amazing. Antonia Casper is going to be with us. She's going to be with us. Gabrielle Stone's going to be with us. And Jerry Mathers is going to take it out on Tuesday night. Let's check in with some of these fabulous comments coming in here. And don't forget, comment on our YouTube channel afterwards as well and give us a thumbs up. That really helps us big time. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, boy, we would love it. And click the notification bell. Make sure you do that. That way there, you'll be alerted when we have all these episodes. Good night, Kathleen. Hug back at you. I love that. And Kathleen said, have a great night and good night all and hugs. That's cool. Everybody doing virtual hugs here. Good night to Maureen and Kathleen. Great show, Jim. Thank you. I know you love these shows with the TV icons and all, Kathleen. You and I have talked about that. You grew up watching Tim Conway and the Carol Burnett show, and I know this was a hoop for you as well. Mary Bishop says, wonderful conversation with Kelly. So nice to hear more about her amazing dad. Good night, all. And she was very expressive and very open and at times emotional during our conversation, which is perfectly fine here on our show. That's real life coming at you, you know, and it happens often. And I think it's a blessing. It happens on this show, and it happens in other things that I do on television and radio, where people feel comfortable and open and trusted and safe that they can express themselves. And Kelly certainly did tonight, and we love that. You know, that makes for a much deeper conversation. It isn't just, hey, come on the show, let's talk about the book. Where can we get the book? Oh, you can get it at Amazon. Oh, it's about Tim, your dad. Okay, great. See ya. We don't do that here. We just we let it roll. We have a good time. And sometimes it's very poignant. Thanks to Kelly again for sharing such beautiful memories of her father. Kelly is a true lovity. I agree. And Tim Conway would certainly be a lovity. Special evening together with all of us. Thanks, Jim. You're welcome, Christine. Jane, good night, everyone. And Jim, thank you very much. Kelly said, go get some rest. You had Tim Conway's daughter tell you to go to bed and rest. See, she's looking out for you too. Tim Conway's daughter, Kelly, is looking out for you, Jane in Sweden. We always do as well. Thank you, Jim, for another wonderful evening. We are so glad you started this fantastic place for us to congregate. Good night, morning, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday and hugs. You as well. To Sherry in Kansas, USA. Maureen says, well, Jim, you knocked it out of the park tonight, kiddo. What an incredible conversation with Kelly. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate those words very, very much. Thank you so very, very much. Kathleen says, this was so great. Thank you both. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. Maureen, thanks, Kelly. Kelly, thank you for being so brave with your stories tonight, sending you tight hugs, which we showed Kelly earlier, which she was touched by the comments too. A lot of the guests are. Kathleen goes, wow, so much levity. You're spoiling us. I know with all these shows, right? Jen Barry in Pennsylvania shares, 34 years ago today was the last day of me daddy's David's life. We lost him October 16th, 1987, 34 years ago tomorrow. Thank you, Jim, Lovities, and guest for giving me love, smile, and laughing in me life. Well, if we were able to do that for you tonight, Jen Barry, then we have done our job, which I don't even look at as a job. It's just what we do and who we are. If you got some love and smiles in a time where you're remembering your father as Kelly is remembering hers, that's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad whatever we were able to do here on the show, like Maureen says, your dad still lives in your heart. Anytime we lose anybody, it's a very tough thing. And they don't all have to be Tim Conways, where they're in the public eye, just people that we care about and people that we know. It's a tough thing and part of life, and it happens to all of us. That and taxes, as they say. But it's about, and we've talked about it recently with some of these guests, it's truly about savoring every second of life, gang. If this pandemic taught us anything, it is certainly that. Savor every second of life. Share it with the world. Try to be positive. Try to have a laugh or two, as much as you can. Like Burnett said, I'm so glad we had this time together. Yeah. On Sunday at 6 p.m., there's an abbreviated edition of the Jim Masters Show Live, where I am thanking all of you for being with us for over 500 plus episodes. And I do a little singing in it too. I sort of take the happy birthday song, twist it a little bit, and make it happy anniversary words. It really isn't our anniversary. We celebrated that already. But I took the happy birthday song, made it happy anniversary, and sort of sang a little bit of it for you. And that's coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific this Sunday. And it's something that we recorded in advance. You'll be able to see it. It's not a long extended show. I'd say it's about 25 minutes. And it's my gift to you with some thoughts and words and a little song, singing, celebrating all of us and all the levity, and that the Jim Masters Show Live has attained and reached that milestone of over 500 plus episodes. Really amazing. Really amazing. Maureen says, aren't we so lucky to have so many angel lovities watching over us? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Absolutely. And that's what the show is all about, gang. If you missed anything with this episode with Kelly Conway, she was concerned because I think it's CLP, California Light and Power, they're scheduled to turn the power off in parts of California, maybe Los Angeles area. She's in Malibu because of the high winds, the high temperatures, and fire seasons. So she wasn't sure the Wi-Fi. I don't know if the Wi-Fi got a little funky or if our picture froze at all. We're fine here, but sometimes, weather and electricity and all kinds of things. The internet is still a funky place for technology sometimes. And when you're live, you have to roll with it. See, if you record things and you perfectly edit them and upload them, well, that's, then you can edit that out. But when it's live, anything can happen. Pictures can go blurry, sound can go in and out, crazy cat can jump on your head. But I think that's what gives it character. That's, when it's live and anything can happen, that adds a little, I don't know, authenticity to it, maybe, that it isn't so perfectly crafted. Everything is so clinical and perfectly crafted these days. And when there aren't a lot of things that are live, oh, you want Damien to write a song for us, huh? I've had several friends want to do that as well. If you missed the episode with Damien McGinty, that was recent as well. I know you love that episode, Allison. All right, gang, this was a fantastic show. I toast all of you. I thank all of you. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And I hope the show met whatever expectations you had. And I always say that to the guests. And that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you. And Of course, we always wrap by saying a few essential things like don't forget to smile. And especially after talking about Tim Conway tonight, you got to smile. Don't forget to share the levity. Don't forget to find your Zen place, wherever that might be. Um, Obviously, there was a lot of Zen moments between Tim and Kelly over the years. And I'm blessed with a family similar, warm, loving, very funny. Similar. My father, funny. He is a very funny person. His wit, that Irish humor, that quick wit, twinkle in the eye kind of thing, definitely passed that down to me. My quick humor and always looking for a joke or levity to put smiles on people's faces. That is James Sr. for sure, my dad. So I can relate a lot to what she was saying as far as her dad in terms of the humor, passed down humor. My, of course, Zen place is with loving family and friends, and my work in television, radio, stage, and film over the years. Also, another very Zen place for me when I'm doing that kind of work and when I'm here with all of you on JMS Live. And of course, you're watching our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, home to the Jim Masters Show Live. The channel is dedicated to entertaining, informing, educating, and inspiring. Hope you subscribe and share the levity. Of course, the ocean is always another Zen place for me as well. You're looking at the mighty Atlantic Ocean on the south shore of Long Island, New York. And I've been in that ocean a lot. Jane says, wowee, our Jim with his lovely voice going to sing for us. Looking forward to that. Thank you. Very short. I just did a very short little, it's like happy birthday, but I changed the words up, happy anniversary. I'm thinking about it. No, I don't know why I said anniversary because it's not an anniversary. It's more of a congratulations to us all in reaching 500 plus episodes. But that will air on this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So this will be a little bit earlier for Jane and folks that are overseas, which is kind of good. Kathleen says, sleep well, sweet dreams. We love that. Time for a little drink here, drinky poo. I toast all of you. Now, doesn't that look very expensive? It's not. It's pink lemonade in a very fancy glass. I toast all of you. We haven't done this in a while, the toasts, right? Man, am I thirsty. A lot of talking. Man, am I thirsty. That tastes good. And the bite that pink lemonade has sort of wakes you right up. And that goes on this coaster here that came from Christine Clifton that says the Jim Masters Show Live. This was a gift last year from Christine Clifton. So Christine, if you're still watching, you're wondering, do we still use this coaster? It's always right here next to the glass and next to George Burns. Jen Barry says, idea, Jim, Lovities, and guests who are Lovities. We all write a lyric. We all put it together and we all create a Lovity song. Hey, why don't you do that? Maybe you can all do that. You can all create a lyric and we can all sing it together. That would be cool. Wow. Thank you. That's a cool idea, Jen. And Allison says, way to go on all your shows. Thank you very much, Allison. I appreciate that. You're wonderful. Over 500 episodes plus almost daily. And sometimes we've done 2 shows. Tuesday we have 2 shows. Tuesday we have 3 shows coming up. Today we had 2 shows. How I'm fitting this in while I'm still doing my professional work in television and radio is beyond me, but I think we'll go to bed early tonight. What do you think? You think I should sleep tonight? I've been going to bed very late, 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and then have to get up to be on the radio and do the television work. And then, of course, put all these shows together. Maybe I should go to bed early tonight, huh? And get some rest. We have a show tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern with author Judy Scott, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. But maybe I'll go to bed early tonight. I'm finally getting your package in the mail Monday. Better late than never. I couldn't forget you. Kathleen Walker, did you knit that blanket or crochet that blanket and finally finish it? Is that what it is? You crocheted me a blanket, didn't you? And you finally got to the last little stitch. Whatever it is, Kathleen, and you don't ever have to send anything. We thank you in advance. You're always so generous. And you do the super chats and the super stickers, which really helps support our show. Several of you have done that during live chat. Some of the guests have done that. That's always available during our live shows in chat. Super stickers, super emojis, super chat. Christine Clifton says, Jim, very cool to know the JMS Live coaster is still in use. See you all tomorrow. And hugs. Yes, we'll be here tomorrow afternoon show, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, with author Judy Scott, friend of Leonard Cohen. She's got some amazing stories to tell in her new book. The guy from Silver Spoons, which was on NBC, that is Ricky Schroeder. You're talking about actor Ricky Schroeder. Good idea. Maybe we'll try to get him. That would be very, very cool. Haha. Okay, sure. LOL. What, the crocheted blanket? My mother crocheted for years. She did all that ceramics, crocheting, baking, all of those things. She still does the baking and all those cool things. You should see the house. Christmas time, you'd think it's Santa's workshop. She's a Santa Claus collector and has about 150 of them, all shapes and sizes. Well, we grew up, in New York, out east on Long Island, and our home always filled with Christmas music, Christmas lights, Christmas decorations. I mean, the outside on the shrubbery and around the house, the windows inside the house filled with all kinds of Christmas, handmade items, things from the store, filled with Christmas. And the family still does that. My folks still do that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. You heard when Kelly said she loves to go back east. She likes to go back, to Ohio and other areas because she gets a sense of grounding there, which I think is really, really beautiful. It's a special thing for her to go back home to where the parents came from. I think she said, well, I knew Tim was from Cleveland, Ohio, but her mom from the Detroit, Michigan area. So cool stuff. All right, gang, I think we covered it all, right? We say Aveda Zane, ciao, cheers. We don't say goodbye. Moi loop, which in African is walk well. We learned that as well. And wherever you are watching this around the world, again, we thank Kelly Conway. The name of the book, My Dad's Funnier Than Your Dad, our special guest on this epic. The last couple of episodes have been quite epic. They all are, ever since day one, but something special. Comedy legend Tim Conway's daughter and author Kelly Conway on the Jim Masters Show live. I mean, leave you with some funny shots here, huh? Makes you remember. And again, if this is all new to you, you didn't know who Tim Conway was, well, definitely check it out. There they are. Carol Burnett, Tim Conway, Harvey Korman, Lyle Wagner, Vicki Lawrence, Tim Conway, Vicki Lawrence, Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Tim Conway, Carol Burnett, Vicki Lawrence, Harvey Korman. Gotta love it. Celebrating a national treasure and legend, Tim Conway. There's the book. And there's Kelly and Dad. We hope you enjoyed this episode celebrating the life of Tim Conway and through the eyes of his daughter and the heart of his daughter, Kelly, here on the Jim Masters Show live. Really special, working in television and all of this myself. It was extra special for me. I felt like I was a kid in a candy store today with all of this. This was really something extra special. One more time, again, while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to Jim Masters TV. We would love that, gang. Like and subscribe to Jim Masters TV. That is our channel. And Jim, could we have Kelly back? Salute, slancha. I'm sure she will be back. You know, she doesn't normally do this. Her dad was the one in front of the camera. This isn't something that she's a costume designer. She's always been a behind the scenes person. So this isn't something that she normally has always done, you know, going on shows like this, talk shows and things. But I think she was terrific. She nailed it. Oh, yes, the book is actually coming my way soon. It's not out yet. It's coming out in December. She doesn't even have a copy of the book because sometimes, you know, we'll have the guest hold the book up, you know, with them. So she physically doesn't have it yet at the time of this show. And I don't have a copy yet either because it's not coming out till December 15th. And that's just about 2 months from now. So um, what you had an opportunity to see tonight is something quite exclusive because the book isn't even out yet. The book is coming out, but they are taking pre-orders on Amazon. So you can go on Amazon and you can pre-order it. So you'll get it maybe in time for the holidays, you know, for Christmas, Hanukkah, or at least New Year. But I can't wait to get my copy. It's going to be great. All right, gang, we're going to wrap it up. All right. Love you all. Our shows are something unique and quite special. And having all of you here makes a world of difference. Judy Scott, the author, tomorrow, a friend of Leonard Cohen with her incredible book about the stories of when they were on this Greek island together. It's going to be amazing. She's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Sunday, a very special abbreviated version of JMS Live. Just me with a special. I think it's time to wrap now. I'm starting to say special. Our special episode, 6 p.m. Eastern, all these times. Oh my God. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, this Sunday. A little JMS Lovity coming your way from yours truly for about 25 minutes, celebrating me, you, us, our guests, and this whole experience, this whole place we call Lovity Hall here on the Jim Master Show Live. You are very welcome, Jen Barry in Allentown, Pennsylvania. My pleasure. All right, gang. Thanks for everything. We'll see you again, hopefully tomorrow. If not, you can see everything in the archives. You're watching the Jim Master Show Live. I'm your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Be well. Take care. Cheers. See you later.